When someone replaces an outdoor walk with an indoor routine, they aren't just changing the exercise. They are stripping away the exact environmental, biological, and neurological inputs the body thrives on. Here is exactly what those fitness trends miss when they dismiss walking. 1. The power of contralateral movement. Walking isn't just moving your legs forward. It is a cross-body masterpiece. Contralateral movement means your opposite arm and leg move in perfect, synchronized opposition. Look at the rhythm of the gait cycle. As one foot strikes the ground and enters the stance phase, the opposite arm swings forward to counter the rotation of the pelvis. This natural twist does two massive things. Neurological integration. It forces the left and right hemispheres of the brain to communicate rapidly across the corpus callosum, keeping cognitive pathways sharp and integrated. Spinal health. It acts as a gentle, rhythmic ringing out of the spine. This movement helps hydrate the intervertebral discs and fires up the deep core stabilizers naturally, without the jarring strain of heavy static gym equipment. 2. Pumping the lymphatic and digestive systems. Unlike the cardiovascular system, which has the heart to constantly pump blood, the lymphatic system, the body's waste removal and immune highway, has no central pump of its own. It relies entirely on physical movement and the rhythmic contraction of muscles to move fluid. The gentle, repetitive impact of your feet hitting the ground acts as a literal mechanical pump for lymph fluid, boosting immune function. Furthermore, that subtle torso rotation gently massages the internal organs. It stimulates peristalsis, the wave-like muscle contractions in the digestive tract, aiding digestion and keeping the gut lively. A stationary indoor movement pattern simply cannot replicate this comprehensive internal massage. 3. Optic flow and the nervous system. When you walk outside, your eyes experience something called lateral optic flow, the visual sensation of trees, buildings, and landscapes passing by your peripheral vision. Neuroscientists have discovered that this specific visual input actively quiets the amygdala, which is the brain's fear and stress center. It sends a direct, hardwired signal to the nervous system that says, you are moving forward through space safely. Doing an exercise inside while staring at a stationary wall or a screen doesn't trigger this calming mechanism. In fact, it can keep the nervous system locked in a static, high-alert loop. 4. The environmental medicine. Then there is the sheer biology of being out in the open. Natural sunlight triggers vitamin D synthesis, which is crucial for bone density, immune health, and mood regulation. Combine that with the clean air, the grounding effect of being in nature, and the casual, low-stakes socialization of waving to neighbors or exchanging a quick hello, and you have a complete longevity protocol. Indoor exercises absolutely have their place for targeted strength work, but treating them as a replacement for walking completely misses the forest for the trees. Walking is the foundational baseline of human health. Walking faster. Over years of societal messaging telling older adults to slow down, combined with a subconscious fear of falling, the central nervous system reprograms its baseline velocity. It becomes a deeply ingrained habit loop. Breaking that loop requires deliberate, mindful intervention. Here is how that neurological and muscular recalibration actually works. 1. Rewriting the neurological default. When someone walks at the exact same slow pace for years, the brain maps that specific velocity as the only absolute safe zone. Walking slightly faster forces the nervous system out of autopilot. It requires focused attention, which actively recruits the motor cortex to map new movement territory. By consciously choosing to pick up the pace, a person is essentially rewriting their internal programming and proving to the nervous system that a faster speed is safe. 2. Waking up the type 2 fast-twitch fibers. Age-related muscle loss heavily targets type 2 fast-twitch muscle fibers first. These are the explosive fibers responsible for speed, power, and most importantly, rapid reaction times. The slow gait trap, chronic slow walking, relies almost exclusively on type 1 slow-twitch fibers. It does absolutely nothing to maintain power or speed capacity. The fast-twitch wake-up, intentionally pushing the pace, forces the nervous system to fire up those dormant type 2 fibers. This is crucial for safety. If someone trips on an uneven sidewalk, they do not need endurance to save themselves. They need the split-second, explosive power of a fast-twitch fiber to rapidly snap their foot forward and catch their balance. 3. Safely testing the edge of stability. The idea of tempering the speed to find the limit is a brilliant training philosophy. In movement mechanics, this is called operating at the edge of stabilization. If you never push the boundary naturally shrinks over time. By consciously walking faster until they hit the threshold, where they feel a slight challenge to their stability, and then tapering back down, they safely stretch their comfort zone. It is a controlled method of recalibrating the brain's internal speed governor. It shifts the entire activity from passive walking letting gravity and momentum carry a sluggish gait, to active, mindful walking. 1. Environmental safety, the grass factor. Starting on grass is a double win for the nervous system. The psychological safety net. The brain knows that a stumble on grass has low stakes compared to asphalt. By removing the catastrophic fear of a hard fall, the amygdala stays quiet, allowing the motor cortex to experiment freely. Sensory variability. Grass isn't perfectly flat like a concrete sidewalk. Walking on it forces the foot to dynamically adapt to micro-changes in terrain. This sends a massive, rich stream of sensory data up to the brain, waking up proprioception, the body's awareness of its position in space, far better than a uniform, man-made surface. Point 2. Top-down neurological regulation. I am safe. The subconscious mind loves to run old, protective programs. When a person steps out of their comfort zone and picks up the pace, the old programming screams, "Danger!" Slow down. By having them consciously talk to themselves and say, "I am safe," they are using the prefrontal cortex to perform a top-down override of the survival brain. It acts as an anchor. You are teaching the nervous system that a temporary increase in heart rate and speed is an intentional, controlled choice, not an emergency. 3. Maintaining autonomy with the eject button. The brain only learns and adapts when it feels in control. If someone is forced to maintain a fast pace beyond their comfort level, they will stiffen up, grip their muscles defensively, and ironically, increase their risk of falling. Giving them explicit permission to back off at any second gives the nervous system a safety valve. Knowing they have full autonomy to slow down allows them to approach the edge of their stability with curiosity rather than anxiety. This turns a regular walk into a dynamic, playful laboratory. It changes the entire relationship an older adult has with their own body, moving them away from fragile defensiveness and back into capable exploration. The psychology of the mini-sprint target, picking a physical target like a tree or a lamppost, does something vital for the brain. It creates intent. When the brain has a clear physical goal in sight, it naturally optimizes movement mechanics to get there efficiently. It changes the posture from a passive, protective shuffle to an active, forward-driven stride. It gives them a manageable microdose of challenge rather than an overwhelming, open-ended expectation to just walk faster. 2. Developing interoception, self-listening. The most brilliant part of your rule, stopping the moment it feels uncomfortable, even if you haven't reached the tree, is that it trains interoception. This is the brain's ability to sense and understand the internal state of the body, heart rate, muscle tension, balance shifts. Many older adults have been conditioned to ignore their bodies or fear every sensation. By telling them to gauge their own comfort and back off at will, you are building physical intuition. They learn to distinguish the difference between a healthy, productive challenge, waking up fast-twitch fibers, and a genuine warning sign of instability. 3. Rebuilding trust between mind and body. When someone has fallen in the past or fears falling, a deep rift opens up between their mind and their body. The mind stops trusting the feet to stay upright, and the body stiffens up in response. This practice gently patches that rift. Every single time a person accelerates toward a tree, recognizes a moment of instability, listens to that feeling, and safely slows down under their own control, they prove to their brain that they are safe. You are replacing a loop of fear and fragility with a loop of competence and trust. 1. The power of couch-to-kitchen microhabits. Bringing the practice into the home is a massive breakthrough for breaking the slow walking loop. Rewriting the default script. When someone is in their own home, their brain is operating on absolute autopilot. If their default habit is to shuffle lazily from the couch to the refrigerator, that neurological script gets reinforced dozens of times a day. Low-stakes consistency. By using a simple daily transition, like getting up to go to the kitchen, as a trigger to intentionally walk a little faster, they are accumulating dozens of mini training sessions throughout the day without even putting on shoes. It turns the home environment into a low-stakes laboratory for neuroplasticity. 2. Honoring the nervous system's battery. The central nervous system isn't like a mechanical engine. Its capacity changes daily based on sleep, stress, nutrition, and emotional state. Avoiding the fatigue trap. Pushing through a mini sprint when the body is genuinely tired changes the movement mechanics from crisp and athletic to forced and sloppy. That is exactly when trips and falls happen. Permission to rest. Giving explicit permission to say "not today" keeps the practice rewarding. If an exercise routine feels like a punishing obligation, the brain will eventually find a way to rebel against it and quit entirely. 3. The as often as you want framework. How often should you practice this? As often as you remind yourself and feel up to it. This is tapping into the science of natural habit formation. It shifts the mindset from a chore to a spontaneous, mindful game. Some days, you might feel vibrant and hit 5 or 6 visual targets outdoors. Other days, you might just do 2 quick paces down the hallway at home and call it a win. Both are perfect. To wrap things up today, I want to share a bit of my own personal experience. Even at my stage of life, I still catch myself dropping into that slow walking rut from time to time. But the second I notice it, I remind myself it's just a habit, and I consciously choose to pick up the pace. When I'm out at the park, I love to take off my shoes and walk completely barefoot. It wakes up all those nerve endings in the soles of my feet that fire vital signals all the way up the body. Now, I know a lot of seniors dread going barefoot because they're afraid of germs or cutting themselves. Personally, I don't carry that fear, but this is just my journey. The big takeaway is to start paying attention to your own habits, listen to your body, and never let autopilot dictate how vibrantly you move. Thanks for watching, stay mindful out there, and I'll see you in the next video.